Hi, imagine love without conditions is the name of the shirt. I've designed 200 t-shirts and they're available on one of my websites that I sell them. And now, this is a video made with the express purpose of sharing with people a prophetic warning that I gave Prime Minister Scott Morrison today. And I sent that to him today on the 26th of November 2019. So I'm just going to read the message I sent to him. I've been locked up in a psych ward. When I've been given messages like that, I just pray that they're not going to lock me up this time. But I'll read the message, the warning I wrote to him this morning. Hi, Honourable Prime Minister. It is not my intention to cause trouble or insult anyone, but I have to agree that Israel Folau was right, that Australia is under judgment. I'm writing to you to tell you that unless Australia reverses the decision on same-sex marriage and the recent abortion laws, then there is going to be serious consequences by God on this nation. This may be pretty radical for you to hear, but if the Australian government does not reverse these two pieces of legislation, then there is going to be very drastic judgment that's going to come against Australia. The Bible mentions that it's proper protocol for a leader to be warned by a prophet. You've been warned by Israel and myself now. Please consider this warning as something that is not as a result of a delusion or mental illness, but a real appeal to you. I hope that you can acknowledge this email with a response. Yours sincerely, Matthew Robert Payne. And that's, I know the video is Michael Benjamin Jacobson, but Matthew Robert Payne is my official name at the moment. So, here's some things, if you're watching this video, here's some things I can see. I can see, Australia, Sydney Harbour going to blood, which is one of the two witnesses' sorts of abilities. And you'll see in a video from Sundar Selvaraj that he mentions blood being poured out. He mentions bushfires. He mentions an earthquake. Another prophet who I'm going to link their prophecy in the description tag here, but besides Selvaraj, he mentions a major earthquake. I can see a major earthquake coming to Sydney. I can see multiple buildings coming down, and you'll notice that even in the Selvaraj video that he's got buildings coming down in the video. So I can see major judgment coming to Sydney, Australia. Years ago, Jesus said that Sydney is Sodom and New York is Gomorrah. We know what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. I know that the Lord wants to make Australia into a holy land, like a New Jerusalem mentioned in the Bible. And I think he's going to continue to pour out his judgment on Australia until Australia bends its knees. The people responsible for Australia being wicked is the Australian church. The Australian church didn't stand up for the same-sex marriage plebiscite. They didn't make a big noise about that. They didn't make a noise about the recent abortion laws. They think that Scott Morrison is a prime minister that's a Christian, a Pentecostal Christian. The fact of the matter is he's so deep with the Illuminati cabal that he's so wicked that the Christian church can't even see that. And so I gave Scott Morrison an official letter. It's just like Moses and the Pharaoh. Of course, Scott Morrison isn't going to repeal those legislations. He'll have no intention of doing that. Israel Folau said that they have to be renounced and repealed. He said that once. I've said it twice. The Bible is very clear on the witness and the testimony of two witnesses. So he's had two witnesses now. He's had 2 prophetic voices speak about that. If he refuses, it's like, getting the gun cocked for God to pour out judgment. So I don't know specifically when this judgment is going to be poured out, but it is coming. I think the Australian church is pretty blind. The Australian leaders in the church are pretty blind. And so you can even say that this is an official rebuke to the church. You need to stand up and you need to start writing your own emails to Scott Morrison and telling him to reverse those laws. It's amazing. There's a lot of so-called prophets in Australia, but not many getting this word. So I hope I just put this on record on YouTube so that when the earthquake and maybe the Sydney harbour turns to blood, and maybe some of the 10 plagues of Moses start getting poured out in Australia, that you know that someone was sounding the alarm, some Australian. It shouldn't take a foreign prophet to give warnings to Australia. It should be a prophet on the ground. So God bless you and keep you. If you're an Australian Christian, I'd ask you to stand up and do what you're meant to do. God bless.